I'm gonna elaborate more on um, file sharing as old games. And I'm trying to figure out why people don't understand this. And the first thing I want to focus on is that is the idea that some people simply just it's like they maybe just they play the games or whatever the older it's not just games obviously well, um it's a lot of old Windows uh, software, but it could also include other operating systems too. And it's like um I suppose a lot of people don't understand the idea of old software because um it has nothing to do with the newer games being expensive. I think this can confuse people because for the most part it's nothing like that. In fact, a lot of people who um you know use this we're not talking about we're talking about websites like Filehippo and FileZebra or whatever it's called. Not FileDirect. um so websites like Filehippo are not anything like um pirating or um like Dropbox or um for share. It's nothing like that. Um, it is nothing like those websites. And like, if for some reason, I'm not sure why, websites like FileHip are totally legal. I again, I'm not that knowledgeable on the subject. I just want to discuss why people might be confused on why somebody might like these websites. And the reason they are confused about it is because the folks see this. He's I'm gonna describe an explanation that makes a lot of sense. Um, and it would not apply to somebody that is born earlier than 1990, the late 90s or the early 2000s. We're talking about somebody who's born in like the 1980s might understand what I'm saying. It's the idea that if you're a certain type of person and you're born, in, say, in the 1980s, and let's say it's the year is like 1991 or something, 1992, 1993, 1994. It's like there's a certain type of person that, for whatever reason, if you're, let's say in the United States, and clearly, um, it would probably make a certain type of person should probably be a vegan. Now I'm like, there's clearly a different time period. Um, I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any objective sense. Vegan and vegetarian is basically avoidance of the consumption of meat. How does that have anything to do with software? And I think to really explain this is very difficult. I can't possibly explain in a way what I can't possibly explain in a way. So for the most part, veg- vegetarians or vegans do not eat beef, pork, and chicken, right? So um, the reason is not because for someone who explains things, it's not just necessarily just because of the protein. I mean, obviously it's protein, right, and the lack of vitamin B12 and um, such and such, particularly vitamin B12, but typically people, I mean, the omega threes and vitamin D and such and such. So let's just say the, the religious explanation probably would be closer to explaining it. I'm like, because religion is all these values and such and such. So many religions recommend vegetarianism. However, it doesn't mean that everybody in that religion is a vegetarian or vegan. It's the cultural thing, and it's just like and I'm like, wait a minute, why did I? Yeah, I started off the topic discussing about websites like Filehippo. How did I get to this? How did I end up discussing about nutrition in the 1980s and the United States culture at that time? And I'm like, this type of tangent like discussion, it's just like it, it, it's it's something that that for the most part academia doesn't recommend. I'm not saying that you would get a bad grade if you um you know discuss it or write any essays whatnot. It's just um it's just put it this way. Um the thing is um the thing is like to really explain it um for most part is very difficult. But the older file software the older softwares, right? Um there's certain there's certain things that appeal, right? It's just that um it's just like a different kind of hobby, I guess. It's just like um it's not because of certain things like for example um vision impairment. It's nothing like that. No, it might be, but it's just that it is not now. This is nothing like seniors having prepaid phones and phones that are just not as high tech, right? That is a completely different topic. To have to clarify, that's a completely different topic. So this is more like it is not nostalgia. Nostalgia, N-O-S-T-A. It's not nostalgia, which is it might be a little bit like that, but um it's just like to really explain it. It's like it's just like it's kind of like a simplistic life, but not really simplistic. You know, it's just um it's just it's not about it is nothing like the Wayback Machine from archive.org. That's complete again. I mean they have old softwares too, but it's a very different. Um, it, I mean you look at the two and they're very similar, right? No, they're very different. Archive.org has ebooks and they're stepping on the line to illegal activity. They're not quite there yet. File Hippo is very they play it very safe. They do. So it's very different. So there you go. And to really explain it, I think a lot of people don't understand because in the big city, especially if you're the state you're living in the United States borders an ocean, um, at all, um, people who might not understand, or the reason they don't understand it is not because of it's just what's the difference with border and ocean? I mean, like that's just a totally random thing, right? Um, it's just like it is random. It's just um, but it's just an observation that I observed, and it's like I don't know. I'm not really sure why. I mean, obviously, we're not talking about this. I mean, there are outliers. It's very small fringes of people that understand it. It's just you almost very unlikely you would ever meet that person unless you have a very unusual trajectory in your life. So, because of that, um, there, that's all I can say. Because, I mean, come on. Like, how else am I going to try to explain this topic? I mean, it's like, let's say you have like a Windows 7, a Windows 8, you know, or even Windows 10. Actually, Windows 10 might not support many of those software. So say you have Windows Vista 7 or 8, right? And for whatever reason you are able to get you either get a refurbished in that case, and you go to you go to a website like Filehippo.com and you download some software legally, right? It's like the software like 5, 10 years ago, right? It's like the install and it works, right? And obviously you might have an antivirus software and it passes it, and there's nothing wrong with it. You use the software, and and that's it. And I'm like, obviously, if you went to like one of these computer stores and you bought like the newer software, would it necessarily work? It might not, because many of them require internet connection, right?